Character Design Lineup. So what the hell is that? In this video, I will be redesigning a bunch of my original characters and I will compile all of them to create a character lineup, similar as these amazing examples. I will be showing you guys my entire process on how I will be doing this. And of course, some tips on how to make your character stand out from the crowd. I have been developing these original characters ever since I was in high school, like still looking like a freaking Judgmon. So they are a traveling hero crew. Just like any of you, I also have OCs. This video, I will just focus on designing these three characters. Why? Because each of them will represent a shape language in character design. But don't worry, I will showcase the rest of the crew's final design as a presentable lineup at the end of the video. So make sure to keep watching and don't forget to leave me a like and also subscribe to support another washed up artist like me. Character design is subjective, and a lot of people have different opinions on what looks good. Character design is all about clarity. Clarity of silhouette, the clarity of palette, and the clarity of exaggeration. If you want to know more, I highly suggest that you watch Bam Animation's YouTube video about character design. The title is Good versus Bad Character Design Tips and Tricks. Because specifically in this video of mine, I will just literally execute everything I learned from their video, and I'm taking you guys with me. Shape language. The shape of the character is a crucial part of the design. It can be used to represent different personalities and emotions. So let me introduce my three main characters. So I will assign a shape for each of them based on their characteristics and personalities. I know that I already drew them and there is already a base, but don't worry, I will strategize later on how to implement the shape language principle in character design. First character is Trex. He is the captain of the crew and an aspiring superhero. He is calm but always intense. He has a soft spot when it comes to the innocence, but he is brutal and ruthless to evildoers. So the perfect shape for him is triangle. Next character will be Valentine. So Valentine will be circle because she is kind and empathetic. Circles tend to represent those characteristics. Remember, not always, but mostly. Also, she is adventurous, optimistic, and lastly, she is also the strongest member of the crew. So the last character will be Zarek. So Zarek will be square because squares are dependable and signifies stability. He is also intelligent and logical. He is the smartest crew member and also the engineer who built their ship. So here is a summary of their personalities and position on their crew. Each character will also have a team, like for example here, a superhero amputee, an alien princess warrior, and a cyberpunk polymath soldier. And of course, we can't start designing without our visual data, aka our references. So I already gathered the references over here. There we go. It is very important that you gather as much info about your characters before drawing or designing them, especially if you're working with a team. Now, there is nothing special about me when it comes to drawing. Believe me, I still need references like this to help me remember what I need to draw. I don't trust my noggin. Like for example, I do not know how to draw guns, especially futuristic ones. In fact, I am not knowledgeable when it comes to drawing male anatomy. That's right, I've been drawing women so much that I cannot even remember how to draw dudes. That is why I gather references so I can take my sweet time to learn about it. Alright, now that's settled, let's start drawing. Alright, as you can see, I am rough sketching my first character, while my references and character brief is on the side. Disclaimer, each character sketch took me 3 to 4 tries to get it right, so what you're seeing here is the final sketch. And my references contains visuals that is related to my written character biography on the side, so I suggest to always start writing the key components of your character before diving into Pinterest or any other platforms you use to get your references. To stay accurate with the main objective. Sketch is complete, so the shape language that I want to convey here is triangle. So you can see it over here on the capes, the foot, the pants, even the shape of the character head, specifically the chin and jaw. His hero insignia on his chest, his torso, shoulders and arms, also the shape of his hair. Now, important note, doesn't mean that his shape language is triangle, doesn't necessarily mean that his overall design should only contain triangles. As you can see, I also have circles here, square on his hammer, ears, and so on. Too much triangle will make the character boring or looking weird. It depends on the character as well. Probably you want to draw a diamond man or a, torned monster. That can work. But always think of the 70 and 30% rule. Like 70% will be the primary shape, while the 30% will be the other shapes. Not only it is balanced, but also delivers the shape language you want to communicate to your viewers. Alright, let's move forward with the line art. So I'm only using my default round brush here, and I slightly squish it a bit to get that sexy line I'm aiming for. And when I am doing line art, I make sure the outer lines are thicker to make the silhouette pop, while the details are thinner. And to make sure my details are on point, I have my references of superheroes here on the side. Mostly are Thor, because I love Thor, and references of tribal hammers. I can mix these elements with the Leviathan axe from God of War. Lastly, I forgot to put the belt axe sheath or scabbard. I don't know what it is called, but I just recently finished God of War Ragnarok, and I like the holder of Thor's hammer there, so I will also be applying it here on my character. Next character will be Valentine, so I have to make sure that 70% of her design is influenced by her respective shape language, which is circle. So I don't know if you noticed, but I also include pattern illustration as my references so I can add it somewhere on the character's attire. Like in this case, I am thinking of putting the Chinese cloud pattern on her pants. So the cultural reference that I'm aiming to convey here is Chinese culture. So references of different cultures can also provide amazing designs and details to your characters because there is a little bit of familiarity there from the real world. And it also tells a brief visual story of where your characters came from. Okay, so sketch is complete. So you can see the roundish parts of Valentine here, like the shoulders and biceps. It is kind of subtle, but you can see some circle elements, like the chest, reminds me of Power Girl by the way, the kneecaps and shape of the clothing. You can see it almost everywhere. So it doesn't mean that her shape language is circle, doesn't mean that her entire body or silhouette should be, egg-like. You can make the lines smooth and curvy to reflect the circle shape. Even how you draw the entire head of the character. Like for example, Trex has a more triangular or geometric head, while Valentine is more circular, like this. So you can also see the curved lines on her torso. Not a good example right now though, but if we continue to move downward on her legs, we can see the direction of the smooth curved lines. Now, comparing it with our first character, the legs of Valentine is more smoother, while Trex over here has that zigzag vibe. So my point for all of this is that a character's details like their attire, props, also can communicate their shape language in a subtle and creative way. Last character for this video. So Zarek, like I said earlier, will be representing the square shape. So when I'm sketching him right now, I am literally using the square shape to draw his anatomy. I'm not thinking about the details by the way, because it is very important that you focus on the bigger picture first, like the overall look, so it will be easier to navigate where the details should be, like what I'm doing here right now. Now, it took me some time to get this right because I don't know how to draw guns, so I'm just truly paying attention to my references on the side. So most of my references are cyberpunk soldiers with futuristic rifles, and literally Male V from Cyberpunk 2077. I just truly love V's cyberpunk samurai jacket, so I'm just gonna implement that as well in my character. But of course, trying to make it a little bit different. I don't wanna copy the entire thing. Don't forget to flip your canvas to check some distortions or mistakes. This is a very good trick because when we are drawing for a long period of time in a piece, our eyes tend to be biased. So flipping the canvas will wake our eyes up to see the horror we created. Okay, so far so good. We got the 3 main characters ready for coloring. So after this, I will show you the rest of the 9 characters I did. I did not render all of them, but maybe I can create a separate video for that. Let me know down in the comments below if that is something you want to watch. I literally read all comments and respond to them one by one. It is still easy to navigate for me because I have a small channel. So I'm truly grateful for the people who commented in my previous video about stylization. So many kind words. It is truly a good reminder why I'm doing this in the first place. So right now I'm just double checking if the head size are on point, like all of them have the same head size, and also making sure if I am satisfied with the current height difference of my characters. So let's move Valentine a little bit upward to make sure everyone is in line. It is a lineup, right? So next is Zarek as well. Let's move him up. Okay. So silhouette, I'm going to check my character's silhouette, if it is looking good, if there are any tangents, or what are the adjustments I can add to make my characters more appealing. So let's fill it with black and zoom in to Trex first. As you can see, there is some parts of Trex that are near to each other, not counted as tangents, but I don't like how near it is to one another. Maybe I can do something about that later. Also here between the legs and cape, especially this one and this one. So yeah. So I'm starting with Valentine. The silhouette already looks good, but of course there is always room for improvements. Like I can make her calves more prominent, also her biceps because she is a strong warrior. Let's make the hair curvy here and the antenna thinner. So what I'm doing here is just making slight adjustments to our character's silhouette, making sure it is readable as a shadow alone. Like what I'm doing here with Trex's cape. It might not make sense for a cape to look like this in this static situation, but I want to add a little bit of exaggeration here and more exposure for the capes on his shoulders. Also creating a gap between the axe and cape. Even they need some space, right? Let's not forget the lightning. Alright. Lastly, for a third character, making sure some parts of Zarek has that blocky feel because his shape is square, right? Okay, so that's how I adjust the silhouette of my characters. So after I'm satisfied with the silhouette, I'll be lowering the opacity and fix the outline of my characters based on the adjusted silhouette that we recently did. Once that's settled, we can now add some colors. So I sometimes use color.adobe.com to help me pick the right color palette. But right now I'm primarily using colors.co with, double O on the middle of the word colors. So it provides me ideas on what colors work because I want to have a palette that can not only present the personalities and theme but also become memorable and recognizable to our viewers. Now, there is no right or wrong answer for picking the perfect colors, but following some color theories and principles can provide some advantages. We have to make sure that the colors also follows the 70% and 30% rule. Like there should be one primary color that represents your character as a whole, and the rest of the colors will just be there to support it and make it sensible and aesthetic. Now the colors are in place, let's check if the values are also looking good. And in order to know that, we have to make sure that darker values and lighter values are in harmony. Like we have to make it easier for our viewers to look at our character design. Like for example, the lighting effects values is too grayish. Lighting is literally bright itself, so the values should be solid white. And the hair of Zarek is too black, and behind his black hair is also the black part of the gun, so that contradicts one another. So my move here is to add some whites in the gun's barrel to make the black hair pop. And as you can see, I am doing that to some parts of the characters. I am adjusting the values, like the sleeves, the values of the pants is too dark, and it is competing with the upper part's darkness. So I made it a little bit brighter. So thinking about how to harmonize the values is also a good practice in designing not only characters, but anything actually, like backgrounds, props, creatures, vessels, etc. Okay, we are now done with the main three characters, but of course we can always add more to it. We can even add some shadows, lighting, and render them, but maybe I'll do that in a different video. So I'm actually proud how it turned out. So now let's take a look at the rest of the crew. When it comes to character lineup, creating some kind of roller coaster effect on the height of the characters makes it more interesting. As you can see, the height goes up and down. There are characters that are taller and there are characters that are smaller. You can even observe that each character has different palette, silhouette, and exaggeration on their designs. So in conclusion, character design with an appealing lineup is one of the most important aspects of a visual development portfolio. A good character design should have a solid structure, believable anatomy, and appealing colors. It should also immediately tell the story of a character and their personality without words. So I hope this video has been helpful and gave you some idea on how to properly design your characters that will capture the attention of your viewers. So in my next video, I will try to create a portfolio that will specifically target the children's book industry, like publishing companies and illustration agencies. It is something that I always wanted to try out, and honestly, I don't know anything about this industry. And competition is probably high, but I'll be damned if I don't at least try. And by the way, I am not stopping there. I will also try to dabble in the visual development niche. So I will create a portfolio for that as well. So stay tuned, and 2023 will be awesome. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make it your mission to improve yourself one step at a time, and I hope you have an amazing day. Cheers.